What if everything you desire is already trying to find you, but your beliefs are getting in the way? Quantum manifestation isn't a myth, it's science. And it's working in your life right now, whether you accept it or not. Here's a silent force shaping your life. And it's not waiting for your belief to activate. Quantum manifestation isn't a theory you try out like a diet. It's not a mindset trick, a spiritual phase, or a woo-woo shortcut. It's a law, like gravity, like time, like energy itself. And here's the truth that most people never hear until it's too late. This law is operating in your life right now. Whether you believe in it or not, whether you understand it or not. And that's what makes it so powerful and so dangerous for the unaware. You see, we've been conditioned to think that only what we can measure is real. That what we can touch, track, or earn is what determines the course of our lives. Go to school, work hard, play by the rules. And if you're lucky, things might work out. That's what we're told. But look deeper. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities without even trying? Why someone with less experience, less education, less hard work ends up with more abundance, more peace, more alignment? Is it luck? Is it privilege? No, it's vibration, because in the quantum world, effort isn't king, alignment is. Here's the kicker. Manifestation isn't something you start doing once you learn about it. You've been manifesting your entire life. Every thought, every emotion, every expectation you hold, these are not just inner experiences. They are energetic broadcasts, frequencies, and the universe is built to respond to them. That's not philosophy. That's physics. You don't need to believe in magnetism for a magnet to pull metal. You don't need to believe in sound waves to hear a voice. Likewise, you don't need to believe in quantum manifestation for it to shape your reality. Because you're already a transmitter. Every second, every breath, every thought you entertain, and every emotion you indulge is sending out a signal to the quantum field. And that field, that invisible ocean of infinite potential, doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. It mirrors your dominant state. Let that sink in. Not your desires, your dominant state. What you consistently think, feel, and expect becomes the energetic signature you carry. And that signature is the blueprint the universe uses to construct your experience. So, when people say, "I tried manifesting, but it didn't work," what they really mean is, "I changed my words, but not my frequency." They made a vision board, repeated affirmations, maybe even meditated, but beneath all that, they were still carrying doubt, lack, fear, and contradiction. The vibration never changed, so the outcome didn't either. Let's be real, this isn't about belief. It's about biology, physics, and energy. Quantum physics has already proven that everything is energy. Everything, including your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. They're not abstract, they're measurable frequencies. And frequencies attract their match. That's why a person vibrating with resentment keeps attracting betrayal. That's why someone stuck in scarcity always finds another unexpected bill. And that's why someone who carries joy, gratitude, and peace seems to magnetize the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing, without grinding for it, because the field doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you are. Now let's address the elephant in the room. If this is true, why haven't I manifested what I want? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You already have. Your current reality is the perfect match for your past vibration. Not your past wishes, but your past frequency. The fears you entertained, the doubts you repeated, the expectations you held, the emotional patterns you lived in. That's what you manifested. It's not punishment, it's reflection. And this is where real power begins. Because once you stop thinking manifestation requires belief, you realize it requires responsibility. radical internal responsibility. You don't have to chant affirmations you don't feel. You don't have to fake belief. You don't have to convince the universe, because the universe isn't judging Nick's responding, and that means even. If you don't believe in quantum manifestation, your energy is still being heard. The field is still taking notes. The process is still happening. Just like your heart beats without your permission, the quantum field moves in harmony with your signal, not your permission slip. So instead of asking, "Do I believe this will work?" ask, "What am I broadcasting right now?" Because that's the real question. That's the question that changes lives. Quantum manifestation doesn't wait for you to believe in it like a religion. It simply does what it's always done: respond to coherence, to clarity, to alignment. And once you realize that, belief becomes secondary. Because you don't need belief to start aligning. You just need awareness. And from awareness comes the shift, the real shift. So ask yourself, not what do you want, but who are you being? Because the field is always listening. You've been told that if you want something, work harder, try more, sacrifice sleep, skip weekends, beat the competition. And for a while, that idea might seem to work. You get some wins, maybe even a few breakthroughs, but then something happens. You hit a wall, you burn out, you do more, and get less. Here's why. The quantum field does not reward effort. It responds to alignment. That's a massive shift in perspective, because for decades, maybe your entire life, you've believed that the harder something is, the more it matters, that pain equals progress, that suffering is somehow noble. That struggle is proof you're on the right path. But in the quantum universe, that mindset is outdated. In fact, it can become your biggest block, because the moment you start grinding from a place of lack, from the belief that you must earn your desires, you're sending a very specific signal. What I want is far away. I don't have it, yet I must fight for it. And that signal becomes your frequency. Let's break that down. Manifestation isn't about what you want. It's about what you broadcast. The energy you emit is the reality you experience. And when your dominant state is one of effort, frustration, and chasing, the field mirrors that. It keeps you in the loop of effort, frustration, and chasing. This is where many people unknowingly delay their own blessings. They're operating from the energy of desperation, not destination. It's the difference between running towards something you love versus running away from something you fear. Both involve movement, but only one creates coherence. Let's go deeper with an example. You already know. Think of someone trying to fall asleep. They lie in bed, willing themselves to drift off. They squeeze their eyes shut. They count sheep. They get angry that they're still awake. The more they try, the harder it becomes. Because sleep, like manifestation, isn't triggered by effort. It's triggered by surrender. You fall asleep when you stop trying to. You manifest when you stop resisting alignment. The quantum field works through resonance, not repetition. That means you don't get what you repeat, you get what you become. An effort that's rooted in lack will never magnetize abundance. Here's the trap most people fall into. They set a goal, get excited, and then immediately start questioning how it's going to happen. They build vision boards, then stress about timelines. They visualize success, but feel like an imposter. And they call that manifesting, but it's not. It's energetic contradiction, and contradiction is noise. Quantum manifestation requires clarity, and clarity doesn't come from force, comes from alignment, comes from knowing, from the deep internal state where your thoughts, emotions, and expectations speak the same language. The field doesn't respond to how badly you want something. It responds to the signal of certainty. You can say all the right affirmations, but if your energy says, "I'm still not there yet," The field mirrors that so now. Ask yourself honestly, are you working hard to overcome something? Or are you acting in alignment with what's already yours? Are you chasing or are you allowing? Are you proving your worth or embodying it? Because here's the truth most people don't hear. Alignment doesn't feel like striving. It feels like remembering. It feels like, of course, this is mine. It feels like breathing into the moment and knowing it's already unfolding. It feels like shedding effort not because you're lazy, but because you're finally in tune with the way energy really moves. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Effort has its place, but in quantum manifestation, the internal state comes first. Action is powerful when it flows from coherence, when it's the byproduct of clarity, not the substitute for it. Let's say it clearly. Manifestation doesn't mean you never take action, but it means your action flows from a different place, not from fear, not from doubt, not from lack, but from alignment. And aligned action is magnetic. It's not frantic. It's not forced. It doesn't come with anxiety or second guessing. It feels right. It feels guided. And because it's backed by coherence, it produces exponential results with less stress. In classical thinking, you need more effort to get more outcome. In quantum truth, you need more alignment to get exponential outcome. You've been trained to believe that struggle is noble, that ease is weakness, that working harder is always the answer. But that conditioning is keeping you stuck in cycles that no longer serve your evolution. The universe is not rewarding your effort. It's responding to your frequency. And the more you push from lack, the more lack is mirrored back. The key is not to push harder. There's a reason your desires haven't fully landed in your life, and it's not because you're not worthy. It's because your signal is split. In quantum physics, there's a principle called coherence. It describes when all parts of a system are in harmony. They're not pulling in different directions. They're unified, focused, aligned. When particles enter coherence, they amplify each other's influence. Even small energy can produce massive, measurable results. Your consciousness works the same way. When your thoughts, emotions, and expectations move in sync, you create a clean signal, one the universe can respond to instantly. But most people are walking contradictions. They say, I want abundance, but their emotions scream scarcity. They say, I believe in love, but deep down, they expect betrayal. They say, I'm ready, but they still feel like they're not enough. This isn't judgment. This is misalignment. And misalignment leads to static. And here's what most people miss. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. And a fragmented vibration delays everything. You can't manifest a peaceful life from a mind filled with anxiety. You can't manifest certainty when your inner world is ruled by doubt. That's like trying to send a radio signal through a broken antenna. The message gets scrambled. Coherence is the secret to clarity, and clarity is the gateway to power. Because when your internal world becomes one voice, not many, the universe doesn't get confused. It receives your frequency, and it reflects it back. That's how manifestation becomes effortless. That's how people suddenly get lucky. Their energy stopped pulling in 5 different directions and finally moved as one. This isn't about pretending everything's okay. It's about aligning from the inside out, healing the noise, releasing the emotional resistance, becoming the version of you who doesn't question whether it's possible. Because they already feel like it's theirs, coherence isn't effort, it's energetic precision. And in the quantum realm, precision is power. Here's the part that most people struggle to accept. Quantum manifestation doesn't need your belief to work. It never has. It's not a philosophy. It's not wishful thinking. It's not some new age idea that you try on weekends. It's physics. Think of a radio station. The music is always playing, but you only hear it when you tune in. Your belief doesn't turn the music on. Your frequency does. Quantum manifestation works exactly the same way. The field is not asking if you believe. It's asking, are you aligned? And alignment is not about what you say you want. It's about the frequency you're actually holding deep in your body. In your subconscious, in your emotional baseline. That's what the quantum field responds to. Not surface-level belief, but vibrational truth. You can say, I believe in abundance every morning. But if your energy is filled with fear, guilt, or anxiety, your true signal is lack. And lack becomes your repeated experience. Not because you don't want more, but because you're not yet embodying it. The power isn't in what you believe. It's in what you radiate. That's why people manifest breakthroughs in moments of surrender. When they stop trying to control, when they let go of the mental noise, when belief is weak, but openness is strong. In those moments, the resistance drops and energy flows. And that flow, that's the quantum yes. So if you've ever said, I don't know if I believe in this stuff, that's okay. You don't have to, because your disbelief doesn't stop the field. But your resistance does. Shift your focus from belief to embodiment. From do I believe this to am I becoming this? From is it possible to am I matching the frequency of its reality? Quantum manifestation doesn't require you to believe in magic. It simply invites you to tune into truth. And the truth is, your vibration speaks louder than your words ever could. Even when you don't believe it's working, it already is. Let's talk about something. Undeniable, something that turns theory into proof. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called the observer effect. Scientists discovered that the very act of observing a particle changes its behavior. Before observation, it exists as a wave of infinite possibilities. But when observed, it becomes one solid reality. What does that mean for you? It means your attention is not passive. It's powerful. It's creative. It's directive. Where you focus intensely and consistently, energy begins to collapse into form. Your thoughts aren't just bouncing around inside your mind. They are shaping the probabilities around you. You're not waiting for reality. You're selecting it subconsciously, emotionally, energetically, in every moment. But here's the catch. Most people observe the wrong things. They give attention to fear, and fear solidifies. They dwell on lack, and lack hardens. They replay trauma, and trauma becomes their loop. Not because they want it, but because they've witnessed it so often in their thoughts, in their emotions, in their stories, that the quantum field says, all right, if that's where your attention is, let's make it real. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness, because the moment you shift your gaze, you shift the outcome. If you start observing possibility, if you start leaning into what could go right, if you start noticing evidence of alignment, even in small ways, field starts responding. Why? Because energy follows focus. Always has. Your attention is the cosmic camera. Whatever you zoom in on becomes the dominant frequency. And in the quantum field, frequency is the language of reality. So the question isn't, why hasn't it happened yet? The question is, what reality am I feeding with my focus? Stop staring at what you fear. Stop obsessing over what you lack. And start choosing, moment by moment, what you want to see amplified. Because the quantum field isn't waiting for proof. It's waiting for instruction. And your attention is the instruction. Observe possibility long enough, and you'll watch it collapse into your life. If thought is the blueprint, then emotion is the electricity that brings it to life. This is where most people miss the mark. They try to think their way into new realities, but forget that it's emotion that imprints those thoughts onto the field. Your emotions are not just reactions, they are broadcast signals. They carry charge, they carry frequency, and they tell the universe what matters most to you. Fear. That's a strong signal. Gratitude, even stronger. Joy. Magnetic. The quantum field isn't moved by logic. It's moved by energy, and emotion is your most powerful energy source. So ask yourself, what emotion is fueling your vision? Because if you're visualizing abundance with the emotion of fear, if you're not sending a signal of wealth, you're sending scarcity. If you're affirming love with the emotion of loneliness, you're not drawing connection, you're amplifying. Isolation, your words may say yes, but your emotion says no. And the field always listens to your emotion first. This is why so many people say, I tried manifestation, but it didn't work, because they were thinking one thing, but feeling another. And in quantum terms, your dominant emotion wins. But here's the beautiful part. You don't need perfect thoughts. You don't need to fake belief. If you can just begin to feel the way you would if your desire were already true, even for 60 seconds a day, you begin to shift the signal. That's coherence in motion. That's alignment in action. Emotion doesn't lie. It can't be faked. That's why it's the most honest signal you have. So don't chase your desires from a place of lack. Instead, practice the emotional state of already having them. Feel wealthy, feel loved, feel powerful. Not because it's here, but because it's yours energetically. And once your emotions line up with your intention, the field takes over. That's when the shift happens. That's when things start moving. Not because you believed harder, but because your vibration became undeniable. In the quantum world, the energy of your emotions is the true language of creation. So speak with feeling, and the universe will answer. Let's set the record straight. Quantum manifestation isn't about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you truly are. Because in this field of infinite possibilities, the version of you that already has the life you desire already exists. But you don't attract it by begging for it. You don't manifest it by wanting it harder. You access it by aligning with it. The quantum field isn't checking your wish list. It's reading your identity. Who are you when nobody's watching? What standards do you live by? What choices do you make when comfort and growth collide? Because your energy doesn't lie. You can say, I want success, but if you keep showing up as the same version of yourself, full of doubt, procrastination, and excuses, you're not broadcasting success. You're broadcasting stagnation. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you're in harmony with. So the real work isn't to want more, it's to elevate your internal state until your frequency matches the life you claim to desire. And that shift, it happens in your habits, your focus, your self-talk, and your emotional resilience. It happens when you stop asking, when will it come? And start declaring, this is who I am now. This is identity-level manifestation. And it's the only kind that lasts. The quantum field doesn't need you to beg for a miracle. It needs you to become the vessel that can hold it. Temporarily. Not when it's easy, but consistently, because it's who you've chosen to be. So if you've been chasing manifestations, pause. Stop trying to force outcomes, and start becoming the version of you that already lives in that outcome. When your energy reflects that identity, you stop needing proof, because your very existence becomes the proof. And when that happens, manifestation becomes automatic, natural, unstoppable. Not because you pushed harder, but because you finally aligned your being with your becoming. So, maybe you didn't believe in all this before. Maybe you thought manifestation was just wishful thinking, but now you know this isn't magic. It's mechanics. This isn't fantasy. It's frequency. The quantum field doesn't need your belief. It needs your alignment, because whether you know it or not, you're manifesting right now. With your focus, with your emotion, with your identity. So the real question isn't, does it work? The real question is, are you finally ready to work with it on purpose? Because the life you want isn't waiting in the distance. It's waiting for you to tune in, show up, and become it. Not someday dash now. You don't need to believe. You just need to align. And the quantum will take care of the rest.